Yo,
Yeah.
what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Poles and Podiums podcast. I'm your host, as always, Richard, joined, as usual, with Quadi, musician and motorsports enthusiast. How you doing tonight?
I'm fucking good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good too, man. It's been a good weekend of racing.
Yes, it
Uh,
fucking has.
yes, sir. So today we're going to talk about F1 Academy. We're going to do a quick up to speed for anybody who didn't catch the first race. Just kind of give you a quick rundown of what happened in the first race, what it's looking like, and then break down what happened in the Miami Grand Prix for F1 Academy for race 1 and 2 as well. Kind of what the exciting points were in that race as well. So let's go ahead and kick it off here. We're going to start with race 1 from Saudi Arabia. So Saudi
Get up.
Arabia did have a wildcard driver. The wildcard driver was Rima Jufali. She was unfortunately wrecked out in lap 3 of the first race. She got hit by Amna Al Khamisi, ended up taking her out in lap 3, ending her first attempt at F1 Academy and open wheel racing with us. Jets Edker ended up getting knocked out in lap 7 with a puncture. She was fighting 3 wide at the time with Leah Block and Houseman. When Houseman hit her with her front wing, created her puncture, took her out of the race. It was a really tight fight up to that point. Leah Block ended up going out in the 11th of 12 laps. She ended up losing it on a turn going into the wall. Nurea Marti was also hit by Lovenfoss on an overtake, which sent her spinning into the wall. If you haven't watched F1 Academy, there's always a lot of contact in these races. There's no DRS. There's no 10, 15, 20-second gap between these drivers most of the time. It's super close. You know, they are wheel to wheel. They are neck and neck. It is good 2 wide, 3 wide racing on a lot of corners.
Man,
Did
and
you
these
happen to
ladies.
catch the first
Yeah,
races or the
I
first race
didn't
weekend?
catch I didn't catch the first one, but I started watching um Miami a little bit, and man, these chicks got something to prove, dog. They out here spicy as hell.
Yeah, man, they're good races. They
Facts.
fight hard. They
Yeah,
fight
they do.
clean for the most part, but some of them some of them be creating a lot of contact. They go for the gap,
I think
you
that's
know.
just because they don't have that experience, you know what I mean? So they try to get it, and that's where you got to learn. I mean, there's a lot of crashes in F2, F3 too, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of crashes in F1, unfortunately, but it's definitely, it's a junior series, so they're learning
Yeah.
they're developing their racecraft, and the more times that they have a collision like that, hopefully they'll learn that, maybe I should
Yeah.
just pace myself, wait for a better opportunity, or not take that attempt while I'm out of control. So for the end of the first race in Saudi Arabia, Dorian Pan won from pole. So from pole position to P1, killing it. Abby pulling finished in second place,
Killing it.
and Maya Veg finished in third place. So it was a good race all around. It was 12 laps total. For race 2, Pin again started from the pole position, ended up finishing the race in first place again. However, there was a little bit of controversy there that we'll get to at the end of this little section. So Chloe Chambers did have a lockup in that first race, in that second race, and ended up hitting Lola Lovenfoss, spinning her out. As she tried to pull away, Leah Block actually came around the corner and nailed her. I mean,
Yeah,
just
I saw
right
that.
into the side of the car, ending the race for both of them. Unfortunate incident. In my opinion, it was Lola's fault. She should have waited until traffic was clear. She was in a hurry. She was trying to make up for her mistake and pulled out a little early, right into the path of Leah Block, ending the race for her, unfortunately. Leah being the unfortunate recipient of a couple incidents in both of her races in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
DeHouse ended up hitting Schreiner on lap 8. Jafali tried to avoid both of them after that incident, ended up getting launched off the curb right into the wall, destroying her car for the second race and taking her out. So unfortunately, the wild card didn't get to show her full potential in both of these races. But maybe she'll get another opportunity next year. Maybe next year she'll get a full chance at a grid spot on the circuit and in the series to try to show us what she's got. De House did end up locking up again and hitting a Puma. When she did hit the Puma, she knocked the wing clean off of it. Like, whole rear wing came off of the car. It was it was great. If you didn't see that, go ahead and check out the highlights at least from that second race in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it just sounds wild as fuck.
Yeah, she knocked the wing off, ended up coming off of that car, running into Bianca Bustamante. Pin ran off with the win again, but I don't know what happened, if she didn't realize that she had got the checkered flag, or if her team didn't tell her it was the last lap or congratulate her on the win. I don't know if the radio wasn't working, but she took the checkered flag and was still full sprint, fastest lap, sending it around the circuit. So she ends up not going into the pit, takes the checkered flag a second time, resulting in a 5-second penalty, which ended up taking her down. I believe she ended up dropping all the way to P9.
She took this checkered flag twice?
Twice. Didn't come into the pits on her cool down lap. Took the checkered flag again.
God.
Penalty, violation. Ended up getting a a time penalty for it. Ended up dropping all the way from first place, winning the race, to P9. Heartbreaking. Like,
Oh my
crushing.
God. I bet she'll never fucking do that again.
Yep. It was rough. So due to Pin getting that penalty, she ended up being dropped down, which promoted Abby Pulling to first place in that race, giving her first race win of the season. So it was a pretty good race in Saudi Arabia. Just wanted to give you a quick up-to-date on that, and then we're going to move into what happened this weekend at the Miami Grand Prix, second weekend of the season. It was a great race. So you said you did see the first race of this one?
I did watch race 1 of this. Yes, I did.
Nice. So race 1 started out rough.
Yeah, it did.
Bianca Bustamante stalled out at the start, unfortunately. Didn't get her car going.
Question, how do you even stall an F1 car?
It's not an F1 car.
I know it's not an F1 car, but it's the same concept, is it not? How do you stall that bitch?
It's not. So the F1 cars are actually... Yeah, it's a hand clutch, I believe. I believe the clutch is actually on the wheel. And it's based on the amount of grip. You drive a stick, so you understand, engage in that clutch.
100%.
It's different based on the tires, the temperature of the track. In F1, they actually have an anti-stall device built into the cars because they're a lot more technically advanced. So you don't see it happen as much in Formula One because those cars have anti-stall. I don't believe that the F1 Academy cars do.
Okay.
Pearl, stop it. Over there trying to knock the Le Mans map off the wall.
Yo.
Being a heathen. So Bianca gets a bad start off. Ends up falling all the way down to P16 at the beginning of the race. Houseman ends up having a huge crash in lap 1. Ends up losing her entire front wing when she hit the wall. It was hard.
Gone.
Like, those cars don't have removable front wings. They are not like your Formula One cars. You can't take the wing off, throw a new wing on. That wing is a piece of the car, and it was gone. Like, completely gone off the car. Heavy impact into the wall. It was pretty rough. She had gotten hit by Nobles. Kind of just clipped her on the back, spun her. She ended up going into that wall hard. Took her out. Ended the race for her, unfortunately. Rough weekend for her overall. As you'll see, race 2 also, she ended up having another incident that took her out of the race again. So she had a rough outing this weekend. Chloe Chambers. So let's talk Chloe Chambers, the Haas driver for F1 Academy. So she is an American driver. She got her first podium. Got Haas their first podium in F1 Academy, P3 in her home Grand Prix. Great fucking job,
tight
Chloe.
to see.
Way to represent for the USA. you are my American driver for open wheel racing. I do not support the Freedom Tower as Quad here does. I do
Keep
not
him
support
alive.
Logan Sargent.
Keep him
He
alive.
is not my driver
He's not
from
my
America.
driver either.
My FIA open wheel American driver is Chloe
Chloe
Chambers.
Chambers. I'll get
Putting
behind
on
that.
for the USA, girl. Great fucking job, man.
I'll get behind that. I'll get behind that. But I'll vouch for the Freedom Tower. It may be a joke, but I don't care.
So we're talking F1 Academy right now. We'll get into that later, but Logan is done. Logan's career is over. He's out of there. They should put Chloe Chambers in Logan's seat and let her see how she did.
Fuck it. At this point.
So she ended up finishing P3. At one point in the race, I think it was lap 4, she had a nasty double overtake.
Yeah, she did.
So Marty and Vig were fighting over P4. They had been battling for several turns. Chambers came up out of that slipstream, came to the inside, 3 wide, passed both of them, laid on the brakes, around the corner, secures the position. What a fucking move.
I feel like it's so much easier to do that on that track in the F1 Academy cars too, rather than an F1 car, because they're so much smaller. So you have that room to push and make that turn without sending someone completely into the wall or completely off the track. Like K-Mag.
The cars are so much smaller than an F1 car.
So much.
So
They look like go-karts so much.
Really close. Yeah, they're basically like big go-karts. So they can race really close to each other, really tight. I love this series, man.
It's fucking cool.
It's awesome. So on lap 11, Vig ends up coming back and getting a double overtake on Alcabasi and on Chloe Chambers. Same strategy that Chambers used to get her double overtake. Comes up out of the slipstream, slides to the inside, passes both of them. She's also late on the brakes. Unfortunately, she's not as clean as Chambers was on that move and ends up sending it wide. Chambers takes third place in that conflict and ends up taking that to the podium at the end. She did a great fucking job, man.
Yeah, she did.
So many opportunities.
Also want to say Abby Pulling, the only Alpine driver to do good.
Abby Pulling, the best Alpine driver on the grid this weekend.
Literally.
Killed it. She ran off both series. P1 to P1. Like pole to P1. Same way that Penn did last week, she did this week. So it's going to be good to see where that goes, man, because that's going to be a fight.
100%.
Like, that's going to be a fight. One thing that I wanted to talk about is, us being big WEC fans. I don't know if you realize, but Dorian Penn drives for Iron Dames.
I didn't know that.
She drives the Lamborghini in the WEC series for Iron Dames. So she's a beast, man. She's got fucking skill. She's been in the races, man.
Has she been in the WEC?
She's been in the WEC. Okay, so this is her trying to branch out and go into open wheel racing.
Yeah. I support
it. Actually, we'll talk about it also in the WEC episode that's going to be coming out soon. But I don't know if it's a result of the fact that she just did this race in Miami, but she's actually not participating in Spa this weekend.
Oh.
She's going to take a break from Spa. There's going to be a sub driver coming in. She will race in Le Mans, though. So she'll be in the 24-hour Le Mans in that pink Lamborghini representing for Iron Dames. I have really high hopes that we can get a couple questions with her when we're at the Lone Star Le Mans for the WEC race, because I'd love to be able to ask her not only about her Iron Dames racing that weekend, but also about how she feels about this season in F1 Academy, because she's a force to be reckoned with in the series, and
she is.
And it's going to be awesome to get to be around them this week. When we're out there in September and August,
that'll be fucking sick, bro. I can't wait.
Bianca in the first race ended up going from P16 because of her stall out all the way back up to P7. Was a hell of a fucking drive, man.
Yeah,
She
she
was
fought
making
hard.
passes. She was getting around people. Did have a moment where she cut that chicane that Max Verstappen took the cone out in. Basically the
Cut
exact
it?
same thing that Max did.
She cut it? I don't think she
Same
knew it was there.
She
She
was
drove straight.
she did. But we saw that through all series this weekend.
Yeah, you're not
Drivers, when
wrong.
you come in hot, you come in hot. You know, if you try to take that chicane right, you're gonna go in the wall.
Yeah,
So well, if you come in too hot and try to take the line, you're gonna hit that curb. It's gonna send you in the air. You're gonna hit the wall.
yeah.
So she was just pushing too hard. Cut that corner completely. Just pretended the chicane didn't exist. Got a nice little 5-second time penalty. So her P7 attempt got knocked back down to P9. Still a fantastic drive. Said it
100%.
before, Bianca is one of my favorites in this series. Been a huge fan since W Series. She's hugely talented, um, extremely aggressive, and extremely hungry. So
100%.
she's that's kind of her downfall. She's got that young Max Verstappen in her, you know, the overtake at every corner mentality.
100%. But
You know, that'll
she's also McLaren's like official test driver and simulation driver.
yeah, she does driving for McLaren as well. You know, to help develop that car. So it's awesome to see a pathway to the future for them potentially in F1 by getting, you know, experience in the big F1 teams as well. That's fucking
100%.
awesome. So the results for the first race in Miami were pulling first place, who pulled like a 6-second gap on the rest of the
Literally.
field or something like that. Like it was big. She did her fucking thing. Dorian Pan had second place in the race, and Chloe Chambers, of course, our American girl, ended up with P3, doing her fucking thing. So we moved on to the second race just before the official U.S. Grand Prix happened. The beginning of that race in turn one, Love and Foss and then Hausman ended up coming together. Bianca started out in P2. Pulling started out in P1. They basically stayed there through the entire race. You know, it was kind of as it stood for P1 and P2 through the entire race. Great effort by both of them. Kind of just drove their own race, drove a clean race, no issues, took it to the podium. Great job from both of them. So Love and Foss did have contact again in this race. She had contacts with Nobles,
Nice.
fighting for P7 on the 8th lap. Completely took Nobles out. Second driver that she took out this race also had another driver that she's taken out. I think it's like 3 or 4 times that she's had contact with another driver. She's
A lot.
gonna calm down, man. It's a lot. That's a lot of
Yeah.
contact. It's a lot of taking out other people's races and causing issues for other people, and ruining their opportunities as well. You know, you got to calm down sometimes. You know, you're going to make mistakes, but when you make mistakes, you got to make sure that those mistakes impact you and nobody else as much as possible if you want to continue racing in the series. Definitely support her. You know, want to see her do well, but she's got to clean up those mistakes.
100%.
So, did you end up seeing the highlights at all from this race?
I don't think so.
No. So on lap 10, Marty and Edgar were fighting side by side for like half a lap, like wheel to wheel, side by side through half the lap, through several of the S's. It was nice, man.
Oh yeah.
Edgar did finally end up taking the position. On the next lap, Marty ended up keeping the pressure on her, caused her to spin out, took herself out of the race, dropped her out of the points. Marty took that position. I will say, despite the spin, Edgar did a great job of keeping that car out of the wall because she was moving full speed in reverse towards the barriers, managed to stop it like a foot from the wall, no damage to
Jesus.
the car. Great job regaining control, minimizing the damage,
Oh
and
yeah.
being able to continue through the race even though she was out of the points. It still shows racecraft, or car control, to be able to correct from a mistake and keep yourself out of the wall. You know,
100%.
something I struggle with in my sim racing expeditions a lot of times. So I can only imagine in a real car.
Yeah.
Great job. So Abby again did have the double pole to podium this weekend. Bianca Bustamante got her second place. Great job. Love to see it. Um, Making a fantastic weekend for McLaren overall as a whole, as a team. I mean, couldn't ask for much better than that. Lando
No, not
Norris
really.
gets his first win. Bianca Bustamante gets her first win of this season. It's great overall team effort across the board. Next race for the Formula One Academy or F1 Academy will be in Barcelona, June 21st to June 23rd. So a little ways away. It's going to be a nice little gap in between. Um, Give some of these drivers a chance to do some of their other series. Like I was saying, they do drive in other series. A lot of these drivers are out there doing other racing in addition to Formula One Academy. So be great to see them and support them in some of those other series as well. Can't wait to see Pin in Iron Dames. We will definitely get to you, try to give you a little update, quick briefing before the race when it does come in Barcelona. Until then, we'll definitely keep you up to date on Formula One, on the WEC, and any other series that you decide that you'd like to hear about. Make sure you leave it in the comments. Don't forget to like. Sorry, don't look at me like that.
Edit and post.
Huh?
Edit
Edit
and
and post.
post.
Exactly. So we will be back giving you more content on the WEC, on Formula One, and any other series that you would like to hear more content on, or like us to do some input and give our completely shitty and uneducated
Bullshit
information
answers.
and opinions on. We'd be happy to give it to you. Thank you guys for joining us. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, share our content with your friends. The more that you share, the more that you support, let us know that this is what you want to hear, the more we'll be able to continue to put it out for you, give you the content that you want to see. Thanks for tuning in.